Hey, thanks so much for downloading the episode. On the show today, I am reading the news. We're talking about weird crap that we found on the internet, plus ghosting. Have you ever been ghosted? Have you ever ghosted? Well, we talk about it and we do some admitting. This, plus our ugly and awkward moments of the week. Thank you so much. Enjoy the show.
It's another uncensored look at the world around you, from sisters who will say just about anything to anyone at any time. It's the Uggs. Jamie?
I'm in pajama pants! In public!
Paula?
Extraordinarily drunk, and there's got to be a crap ton of lube.
Uncensored as always, it's time for the ugly truth.
Welcome to the Ugly Truth. This is episode 362.
We are Sisters Who Podcast.
Yes. Okay, so I'm watching this show. It's called What We Do in the Shadows, and it's a dark comedy about vampires, and it's really damn funny. It's not up your alley.
You and vampires, jeez.
I love vampire. I am not obsessed, but I love any kind of entertainment that's vampire related. I have my whole life, by the way. My whole life I've been just consumed with vampires and media and stuff. I just think it's amazing. I don't know why. I don't know. It's a weird thing.
You should go goth and wear black lipstick and vampires this year for Halloween.
That'd be hilarious, but no. I'll be a sexy vampire. I don't know who yet. But
Aren't
anyway,
all vampires sexy?
To some degree, yes. I do think that. Maybe it's the immortality or the ability to heal without having to go to the doctor. I don't know.
They can do that?
Yes.
Oh, I don't know anything about vampires.
That's all right.
I thought they sucked blood and that was about it.
They feed, yes. But anyway, so I'm watching this show, What We Do in the Shadows, and it's very funny to me. And one of the guys has he likes to garden. He likes to do topiaries.
Okay.
So it's a vulva garden.
Wow.
And so it's all these bushes. Mm-hmm. He's like, you know what they say? He goes, I think Beethoven said it. Those bushes aren't going to trim themselves. And so he goes in and he's got all these vulvas. It's hilarious. My vulva garden!
Do they all look the same or no?
No, that's the thing. He goes, I call this one Vanessa. And here, my piece de la resistance, mother. It's so funny.
God.
It's really funny. Anyway.
No, it sounds fun. I just can't imagine topiary vaginas or vulvas, or you know how I feel about that word, but.
Yes, I know. Vulva. Mulva.
Ah, yeah.
Yes.
That's right. Dolores. Oh!
Dolores! Of course. God, that's a funny
doesn't
episode.
even sound like clitoris. No, clitoris. Is it clitoris?
Well, it's clitoris, but people say clitoris.
Who says that?
I don't know. I don't.
I've never heard a guy say, I want to lick your clitoris. If he said that, I'd be like, what? I'm all, do you even know what that is?
You want to drive my Ford Taurus? I don't have a Ford Taurus.
Get your tongue away from there.
Bleh, you don't even know what that is. Get out of there. Just get the hell out of there. Right. God, that's so funny. It's funny because it's true. Anyway, the other day, you had posted something about struggling to go uphill and being out of breath. What was that post that you did?
Oh, it says, have you ever tried to breathe quietly as you're going uphill so others don't know that you're dying or something like that?
I had completely forgotten that you had posted that meme until I posted it last night. I went, didn't I just read this somewhere?
Yeah, I didn't say anything. I'm just like, that's okay. I'm sure I've posted the same meme 15 times because I can't remember anything.
It was after midnight. I couldn't fall asleep. And so I don't know. But anyway, it made me laugh because I told you, I said, remind me to tell you about the time that Daryl thought I was legit struggling with my health. So we went to go see a band. This was 2 years ago, and it was at the Berkeley Theater. Now, in Berkeley, California. It's the Greek. It's iconic. It's amazing. I mean, some of the best bands ever have performed there. And so we were going to see...
Don't they have a lot of grass up there? No, I mean, when I say... I know I didn't mean it like that. I just meant it's outdoors, isn't it?
The Greek is outdoors, and it's behind the school. So... I'd never been, Daryl had never been, so we went, and so we had parked up on a hill, so you have to walk down to the theater, and it was fine. I'm like, God, this is going to be fun getting back. And I go, maybe, you know what? We're probably going the back way. I'm sure there's an easier route, but let's just go. So we go, have a great time. We're headed back, and we see everybody who parked by us migrating up this side place going up. I go, oh, that must be the way. So we go up. Paula, literally, it was so steep that my feet were bent, but at the ankle, I mean, like, it was really steep.
What kind of shoes were you wearing?
Well, that's the thing. I wasn't wearing anything that would necessitate mountain climbing. I was wearing, like, maybe my Converse.
Oh, you're lucky, because I usually wear stilettos like every time I go out.
Oh no! First of all, you don't wear stilettos in Berkeley.
Okay.
First of all, or I actually what I really recall is I believe I was wearing sandals. I was, because it was hot. It was in the summer.
Like, how far were you from the car?
Oh, probably a half a mile.
Couldn't you just get an Uber?
No, they weren't allowing Ubers to pull up for safety reasons.
God.
It was, Paula, it is a very small area.
You know what I would have done?
Very small area.
I would have been like, I'm going to stay here. You go get the car and then come back and pick me up.
I would tell you that, but there was nowhere, the road was closed because there were so many people. It's like a side street where Berkeley is. It's in the school. It's not like you can just plow in and just pick up someone and take off. It's not an easy place to get to, period.
God.
It's all walking, all of it. Everyone walks. And so we're going up this hill, and I said, okay, listen, I do cardio daily. I can do this.
That's different than cardio. That's like weight training.
I am on an elliptical. I do the advanced level inclines. I can kick this mountain's ass. So we're going up the hill, and suddenly, and Daryl's way ahead of me, which makes me angry.
Okay, Mr. Cholesterol.
Exactly. Makes me angry. The man who has a sciatica problem, ankle issues.
He was probably on drugs.
Well, we had some beer, but that wasn't, I don't think that was it. But men, they are not going to look weak ever. So he will die before he will act like this is hard. So,
God.
So I'm doing the thing where I'm trying not to pant real hard, because at this point, I would say 50 feet in, I'm like, oh my God, I think I'm going to die.
Did you have any wetness in your mouth, or was your tongue just flopping around like a snake in the dirt?
It looked like Jabba the Hutt's mouth. There was nothing going on. My tongue was over. It was done. And so I'm going up in these sandals. And then, of course, there's these youths who are just plodding up like it's no big thing. But they also go to the school. So at some point, I'm going up and I just give up. And I say, I can't, I'm struggling with this. I need to take a break. And he goes, are you all right? I'm like, I'm going to be fine, but I just need a minute. So I'm standing there, literally can practically rest my arm on the concrete. It's so steep.
Oh my
and I'm like, I just need a minute. And so I start panting hard, and I'm like in pain, and I'm like, I can't do it. I'm like, what are we gonna do? I'm stuck here. He's like, you can't do it. I'm like, no, fuck this, I can do it. So I'm plodding up. I started getting lightheaded. I was really struggling, and I have never felt like that in my life. I've never felt like that. I'm like, what's going on? I go, I think that there's something wrong with me.
I wonder if you weren't like taking enough breaths.
I don't know. I could have been. I could have definitely. What's that word? Not dehydrated, but what's that thing where you can't breathe?
Hyperventilating.
I think I was hyperventilating because I was.
Maybe you were having an anxiety attack.
Well, that's possible. But anyway,
I mean, maybe you were so afraid you weren't going to make it that you started panicking.
It's possible. I'm like, this is what happens to people when they crash. They just get stuck on a mountain. They're like, leave me behind, because I can't make it. That's not me.
Before you know it, someone ate your thigh.
Right. Suddenly I've got something feeding on me because I can't make it up the hill. I'm like, no, that's not me. And, my brain is just like, what the fuck are you doing? Get up the goddamn hill. So I got up and everything was fine, but I was mortified at myself. I was embarrassed.
I wouldn't be embarrassed. I'd just be grateful.
Well, finally I got in. He's like, do you need some water? Are you all right? Like, he was really concerned. I'm like, I'm fine. Because I was mad. I was so mad. Of course, your
ego won't let you admit that,
I need a gallon of water. Anyway, I wanted to tell you. And I'm like, it's the most out of shape I've ever felt in my life. Ever. And I remember that and decided to up my exercise because I said, this can't happen again.
remember when we went to Vegas? We almost died. I said, can't we take an Uber? And you're just like, we're at the front of the building. They can't drive you, to the door.
Yeah.
You got to walk to the door. But I'm like, it's like a half a mile. Like those buildings are so big. It takes freaking forever, especially at the freaking Bellagio. You got to walk all the way around those damn fountains.
You know what? Speaking of Bellagio, I will never stay there. There were so many goddamn children.
Yeah, really.
I couldn't even. I'm like, why? Why are there so many people here with small children with strollers and crap?
There's nothing to do.
Why would you do that?
There's nothing for kids to do there.
If you go with children to Vegas, you're literally saying, let's spend $1,000 to keep them occupied so that we can go gamble.
The only thing I can think of is like if there's a wedding or something that you have to go to.
Well, that's different. And I did preface that. I'm like, well, all these people can't possibly be here for a wedding. But I mean, I guess it's possible, but it's just not kid friendly. And I don't understand why you would do it. And the people I hate the most is when you're out at like 2 a.m. and you see someone pushing a stroller.
I hate that so bad.
Oh my God. I'm like, that baby needs to be in a bed. What are you doing?
That's how I felt actually at Disneyland, because we closed the park down, but my kids are older. I mean, I think when we went, Ryan was like 11 and Olivia was like 7. I mean, she was still young, but I mean, she can stay up till midnight. It's not going to kill her. But there would be people there and they're like, 3-year-olds are like sobbing and still walking.
No.
And I'm just like, pick that child up and put it in bed. Jesus.
The very last time we were at Disneyland in February for the cheer competition, and so we had one night left and we decided to close the park down with our daughter. We were leaving to go home back to our room. It was like 10:45. I think it closed at midnight, and we're like, we're done. We wanted to go get a cocktail, and they have a really cool bar there. So we were headed back, Daryl and I, and people were coming on the monorail. We were getting off, people were getting on. Some family who obviously had 15 and 16-year-old kids, and they had a little one, like a 2 or 3-year-old.
Yeah.
They get off the monorail and they pull the stroller out, and the kid was dead asleep and then started waking up and crying. And I'm like, why? You can't can someone not sacrifice 2 hours to just be in the room? Like, really? It is not worth it.
No.
I can tell you now, you're getting your money's worth because you made it. And that's all there is to it.
Anyways.
Okay, so there's been some really weird shit in the news lately, and I wanted to talk to you about it because you and I hadn't really talked about it. Mm-hmm. The first thing, now this thing comes from China. It is the Chinese automatic sperm collector.
I saw that.
Okay, here's what's really interesting is it has been around since like 2014. This is not a new product. It's just suddenly someone got wind of it on YouTube or something and started to share it. And so a Chinese hospital in Nanjing has created a hands-free automatic sperm collector called the SW3701. Basically, a massage pipe protrudes and retracts after the user has gotten himself into a position, and the machine keeps going until it has collected the sperm. The height is adjustable, and the user even gets to choose the frequency, amplitude, and temperature. There's even a screen to provide visual stimulation, which is probably needed to help you forget that you're currently being filleted by a machine like a cow being milked.
It kind of reminds me like when you're looking at an engine and it's kind of like the pistons popping up and down.
Yes. That's exactly what it says.
When I saw that, I kind of thought to myself, I'm like, I don't know too many men that would be willing to put their dick in that because it looks a little dangerous.
According to the director of the urology department of the hospital that created this machine, it's designed to help individuals that are finding it difficult to retrieve sperm the old-fashioned way.
Just jerking off.
Right. The device isn't all that new and has been in place a couple of years, but it has been making the rounds on social media. And this article is from 4 years ago, so this thing's been around for almost a decade. And then, of course, the writer said, I really hope there's some sort of hygiene procedures involved, like a disposable insert for the massage pipe. The massage pipe. And it says, with such a booming population, does China really need more sperm?
Well, don't they have like rules about, how many kids they can have there and like how many girls and all that stuff?
I believe that has been lifted from what I understand, but I'm not quite sure.
So I did see the machine and I watched the thing go in and out. I saw that it had adjustable knobs to adjust for like tightness and speed, then it even said something about a light, and I'm just like, what vaginas light up? I don't know any vaginas that light up.
I would like to know whose magic vagina does that.
Unless guys like to see their penises.
Oh, men love to see their penis. You know that.
They like to watch it go in and out or something.
Do you know how many men do you know love to watch their penis be inserted and go? I mean, that's kind of a common thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I think they probably do look at it. Yeah,
I would imagine.
I know
I think that's pretty common.
I think they're pretty much looking at the whole thing.
Men are super visual.
I don't know. I didn't realize. Yeah, I guess they are turned on by their own penis. That's weird.
They are. Well, of course. But, you know, if you don't have a hang up, some women like to see their own vaginas too. So, you know, potato, potato. But apparently this guy, no matter how bad your job is, at least you're not the technician who has to fix it when it becomes clogged.
Oh, gross.
Speaking of sucking, I saw this little blurb and I don't really know much more than the basic headlines. Kristen Cavallari, do you know who she is?
I did read this morning.
Okay, she's from the hills and now she has very Cavallari. She needs to gain some fucking weight. She weighs like 85 pounds soaking wet. That girl has nothing left to her. She's married to Jay Cutler, who was a professional football player for the Chicago Bears for a time. I think the Jets.
He probably crushes her.
Yeah, and he's big. He's a football player. I mean, of course. But anyway, she's had 2 children, I think. And she claimed that when her milk ducts got clogged, which is very common when you breastfeed, he sucked her nipples so hard that they unclogged. And I thought twofold. One, totally appreciate the effort because it's better than going to the doctor or doing the massage or the hot packs and all that garbage. But how gross what stuff came into his mouth when he unplugged it? You know what I mean?
You know,
it's like whiteheads.
When I breastfed Ryan for the short period of time that I did, I never had any issues. I breastfed Olivia exclusively for quite a while. And I think I only had a problem once with my right side. It just became a little red in a spot. And so I just did like the warm cloth, but kept nursing as normal. Yeah. And it just worked itself out. So I don't know that heroic efforts were necessary, but
you would call sucking someone's nipple so hard to unplug it a heroic effort?
I don't know. I mean, babies suck pretty damn hard. I'm just saying.
I know.
I don't know that a man could suck much harder than a baby.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they would love to try.
Of course they would. Guys are sick, but and anyways, when you're breastfeeding and you have sex, they get milk in their mouth anyway. Mm-hmm. I mean, unless you say, you know, tits are off the table. Right.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know.
I didn't, but
no, nothing's off the table if I'm in the mood, except for anal.
That's always off the table, except for
birthdays and anniversaries.
No, I say birthdays and Christmas, and I have to be extraordinarily drunk, and there's got to be a crap ton of lube.
Okay, so the other thing I wanted to tell you about was there's a reboot of what used to be our very favorite show, What Not to Wear.
Oh, really? With Stacey London and what the heck was his name?
It doesn't say if Stacey or Clinton is coming back.
Is that what it was saying?
Yeah, it was Clinton. He and Stacey had some kind of falling out.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, and we're going to talk about this in a minute. She ghosted him.
Shut up.
Hardcore.
Whoa.
So it'll be, and he has no idea why. Literally.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that.
Yes, we are. So I'm excited about the What Not to Wear returning because honestly, my favorite part was the hairstylists. Because they always wanted to cut the women's hair short. Always. Mm-hmm. And remember when the women would be like, I don't care what you do not cut my hair short. And they always did anyway. And then the women were like, well, everything's great except I have no hair and I hate my life. And then the hosts are like, well, you look amazing. And she's like, yeah, whatever. Fuck you. I'm out. I mean, it happened more often than not. It was like Trading Spaces where the people were like, oh my God, is that fur on my wall?
Right. Are those records?
Exactly. You stapled all of my husband's records on the wall?
On the ceiling?
Why would you do that?
God. I can think of a friend that would probably have a heart attack on the spot.
He would walk out. He'd be like, and I'm suing you, and I'm suing everyone.
He's like, is this some kind of joke? Am I being punked?
It's like, I can't even imagine. Here's an old-fashioned bar for you. It's like, no, I have Darlene. I'm going ape shit. I'd be like, where's Darlene? Tell me now. Just tell me now.
We turned her into our curio cabinet. No. I know, right? Just start slapping his face. Wake up, wake up.
If you've ever wanted to see a conniption, that would be it.
That would be the ultimate.
Oh my God. So I'm looking forward to it. I hope that Stacey and Clinton return, but if not, Clinton for sure. But my guess is they're going to bring a young, hip lady in. They're going to bring a woman in.
Yeah, Stacey's old.
Well, she is, but she's kind of doing something completely different, and she's very New York.
Yes.
It would not be a surprise to me if they brought someone in a little more West Coast, a little younger, because styles have changed dramatically since the early 90s. So, I mean, it's just going to be a whole new... I think it's going to be great, personally.
Well, if you're a fashion designer, you have to stay current with all that stuff because, it doesn't...
Or just a stylist in general.
If you want to be relevant. Yeah.
I just think it would be cool to get a little more of a West Coast vibe because they were very East Coast. So it'd be kind of cool to see them go to a different location and keep in mind the styles of what's more on this side. Yeah, so we'll see. I'm looking forward to it.
Not everything is a dark suit. So
not everything has to be smart.
With a kitten heel or flat.
A kitten heel with a red lip. Yes, there's other things. Okay, so finally we want to talk about this briefly because we've never really talked about it before, and I think everybody in this day and age, modern day, has experienced some form of ghosting.
I'll read the definition in case people don't know what it is. Urban Dictionary says ghosting is when a person cuts off all communication with their friends or the person that they're dating with zero warning or notice beforehand. You'll mostly see them avoiding friends, phone calls, social media, and avoiding them in public. I haven't seen Tom in 3 months. I think he may be ghosting me.
Right. Ghosting is basically rejection, but with no closure. So a long time ago, I started reading about ghosting because in my own personal experience, I have ghosted people, but it was before social media. Back in the old days when there was no cell phones or smartphones or Facebook or Snapchat or Instagram or whatever, ghosting someone just meant, done and done. And it usually was, one night stands or, whatever, a hookup, and then you just never call, you just never take their call again. And people would get the hint and be like, all right, well, it was great and it's over, right? Mm-hmm. But now we're so connected on so many things. We're literally available to other people 24 hours a day. There is no break. Like, there is no way to just take a break and then just never go back, especially with dating.
I think what you're referring to, like one night stands and things, I think that's different. I think...
Not when they call me.
I think with ghosting, there's like an actual connection. Like, they even refer to friendships. Like, you actually are friends with someone, and then you just completely cut off all contact with them for whatever reason.
That is another experience that I have. Interestingly, somebody I was friends with for almost 30 years, we both ghosted each other at the same time. Literally. Right. We stopped talking for 9 months, and then I was good with it because I'm like, okay, good. We're just going to fade out. That way, if anything changes, we can just we can reconnect with no hard feelings. And she sent me a vicious letter because she needed closure. And she blamed me for the ghosting, even though she hadn't reached out to me either in 9 months. Like, neither one of us had. And I'm like, I felt like we had a meeting of the minds subconsciously. And we both agreed that we had grown and moved on and that we didn't, we wished each other well. And that was that. But no, she had to come out and say, basically, you're a terrible person and I don't know who you are anymore and fuck you, and ended it. And she had to have closure, which I respect. I respect people who need closure. I just didn't realize that we needed closure, and she did because she never reached out and told me. So I I mean, if I'm being honest, yes, I have ghosted people. Absolutely. Right. And probably if you think about it long enough, you probably have done the same thing. But it's funny because when this was all going down, and she sent me that letter, I started reading up about ghosting because it's a new term, but I think people have been doing it forever. I don't think this is a new phenomenon.
I mean, it's relatively new, like within the last 5 years, I would say.
In my mind, ghosting is lazy. Especially when you're dealing with a relationship that's intimate, whether it's a friendship or a lover, it's a lazy way to avoid hurting someone to their face or avoiding confrontation. It's the ultimate avoidance of confrontation.
So in this article that I read, it says, why do people ghost? And so they asked like 5 people why they did it. And the common thread with all 5 people is it was basically fear.
Yes.
Because they were afraid of either their own feelings, like they didn't know how they felt about the situation. They didn't know if they were ready for what was going on. You know, they were afraid of hurting the other person. And so they basically just dodged the whole situation because they just didn't know how to deal with it.
Right.
It's completely selfish, one.
Yeah.
Because you're hurting the other person regardless. And 2, it's kind of creating a pattern for yourself because you're not learning anything, I guess, about how to have a healthy relationship. I mean, at least that's what I think, because I think if you've done it more than once, it's a pattern. And
well, it's a way to end something that you don't want to go through the messy interaction to end, you know. It's funny though, because it does transcend over other aspects. Like you had an interview and you thought it went really great, and she said, let's meet for coffee, I'll call you by Friday, and she never called, and you reached out and she never responded. Full on ghosted you. And I was reading an article that a friend of ours wrote about the thank you note and how some people were saying, I have literally, this is a new thing, it's like I've literally been on great interviews thinking, and them saying they'll reach out and let me know, and then I never hear from them again ever. And it's just, it's like a mentality.
Especially being in the HR field, if there's someone that came in for an in-person interview, I always follow up because I hate not knowing.
Yeah, you need closure.
I've had an interview. Yeah, I mean, and that's the biggest piece is you know, the article mentioned how does it feel to be ghosted, and that's when I said, you know, it's traumatic for people. You feel like you've been played a fool. It's just you've been disrespected. A lot of people express that it's maddening, mostly because you have no idea what you did. You have no idea, or if you did anything. That's the whole part. I mean, a lot of people take self-blame because they just assumed something that they did. But, you know, who's to say? They don't know. They can't really figure out what happened.
The one thing that I take from it, I just feel like you get to decide what happened. If no one's going to give you or offer you an explanation like an adult, then I get to decide what happened. And mostly they died, or they were married and didn't want to say anything, or, you know, who knows what. But to me, it's always the lie is always on the other side. It wasn't anything I did because, I mean, I was just living my best life, and they were either not being honest, and that's usually, I think, what it is. So I had read many stories about people who have been ghosted by others, friends or lovers, even a married guy where he literally left. They'd been married for 16 years. He left to take a call and never came back. Gone.
Wow.
Just left. And that's a severe case, but most of them are like this. One time, this woman was friends with a guy, and she's like, we were supposed to go see a movie together, and it was something we'd been planning for a while, and obviously we were texting and whatever. He never came. An hour came and went, and I texted him. He didn't respond. 6 hours later, she goes, I was ready to be the psycho girlfriend and drive to his house because I thought maybe something bad happened to him. He showed up at my door, and I said, hey, what happened? I'm so sorry. Is everything okay? He stared at me, turned around, walked away, got in his car, never heard from him again, blocked her on everything, and no explanation.
That is so strange.
And she has no idea why. He literally wouldn't even speak to her. He just showed up to show that he wasn't dead and then walked away, got in his car, and never looked back. And now, if that happened to me, I would definitely think, well, did he find out something about me that made him disgusted? Or did something happen and I wasn't aware of it or whatever? But it doesn't even matter. It's his problem. And now you get to decide why. And that's a big burden, especially when you care about somebody.
You know, sometimes when people have been ghosted, like they start to get really concerned because they're just like, oh my God, what if they got in a car accident? Or what if they, you know,
of course,
or something like this or that. And so they start panicking because they're just like, what if something really bad happened to them?
Yes.
And that's the problem is that they're not even giving you the opportunity. Not even like trying to get back together or anything like that. They're just not even giving you the opportunity to, you know, be a polite, good individual to try and make things right.
That is ghosting. That is exactly what that is.
When did people start to be, you know,
I know when it was super easy to meet people online, when you have Tinder and Bumble or whatever they're called, or what's the other one? There's a Tinder, Bumble, and there's another one. Anyway, when you can literally scroll through and meet people online, literally through your phone, and send somebody a text and go, hey, you want to meet up? And you do. There's no like early on meeting of the eye and like, hey, how are you? And, you know, what are you doing here? Oh, we're ordering the same sandwich. How bizarre, or whatever. Like, there's no initial physical meeting when you literally are looking at someone's face going, yeah, I could fuck her, and then you go meet at a bar and then you immediately go off and have sex. Like, that's what it's so efficient now as far as getting laid. There's no intimacy, there's nothing built. It's just two people. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with that, but someone always gets feelings. You know what I mean?
But I mean, these are real relationships.
Some of them, yes.
I mean, most of them.
But they're early on too, though. I mean, if you think about it, they're all super early on. And there's a whole new group of people, and it doesn't really matter their age. There's a whole new group of people who conduct all of their social business online or through apps or whatever, or on their computer. So they have not created any kind of skill that requires them to be confrontational with someone in their physical presence. They do everything online. I can't even imagine it. For the most part, I've always offered someone closure, or it just ended, you know what I mean? But there are people who just literally have no ability and wouldn't even know where to begin to be physically confrontational. And I don't mean like angrily, I just mean in general. Yeah. Offering someone the ability to say, hey, like, I read a story the other day and I thought how difficult this would be, except because it wasn't ghosting, but kind of. These two girls had been best friends for 15 or 16 years. They were adults, whatever. Her friend asked to meet her. They met on a street corner to go into a cafe or a coffee shop. And the girl said, and she started to cry, and she's like, I don't want to be your friend anymore. And she's like, they were like BFFs. And she's like, I don't understand why. She goes, I can't really talk about it, but I just don't want to be your friend anymore. And she started to cry and she left and never heard from her again.
And she never found out why she couldn't talk about it?
She didn't say I can't talk about it. She goes, I don't want to talk about it.
And she never found out what that reason was?
Nope. But it required the other girl to have a lot of self-reflection and to figure out what happened with the relationship. And that's hard to do. It would have been a whole lot easier for the other girl to just ghost her and never talk to her again. But at least she offered her something. Yeah. You know what I mean? At least she gave her anything. That's the thing with ghosting, is that these people don't even offer you anything. They don't have any desire to upset you or to lie or to do anything. It's a reflection on them. And although it's really hard, it isn't you. Even if it was you, they had the responsibility to tell you. And they don't. So then it becomes about them.
Yeah, that's true, I guess.
So
it's just a weird new way of ending relationships. And I mean, it's by no means, in my opinion, acceptable. But
no, it's awful. I can't even imagine. I mean, fading out, like my experience, fading out, that wasn't ghosting. To me, that was just a demise of a long relationship. And that happens all the time. But something like, okay, I guess we'll see each other on Friday, and then nothing for forever. I mean, that is ghosting. That is a ghosting thing. I don't understand it. I don't get the concept. To me, it feels very lazy and immature. Something that a kid would do, not a grown-ass man or a grown-ass woman. It's just not. And then I read one article where she's like, I was dating someone for a few months, and she goes, we literally ghosted each other at the same time. We don't even know. I mean, if you were to ask, neither one of us would know who ghosted each other first. She goes, and this is an awkward moment, by the way. She said, I hurt my foot and I was on crutches and I had a cast on, and I was at the train station, or like the Met or whatever, the Metro. And I saw him on the platform. She goes, and I'm sure he saw me. And so we were trying to just ignore the fact that we were both on the same platform. We get on the Met together. We get off on the same stop. And we have to walk by each other, pass each other by.
Why are they going to pretend like they don't know each other?
Because they ghosted each other. And she goes, it was, so we walk by each other. We both look each other in the eye with this like, oh my freaking God. Like I thought I'd never see you again. And we just keep walking. She goes, it was the most uncomfortable 30 minutes of my life and I will never forget it.
I think that is so immature. Like,
it is immature.
I find that absolutely immature. I would have been like, hey, what's up? You know,
hey,
I just like,
hope your life's going great.
Break the silence. And, you know, I mean, it's so immature. Like, what? Yes. Literally, you guys are going to sit there and pretend like you didn't know each other. And you didn't have some sort of relationship. And it's just like, okay, yeah, you guys ghosted each other. You both know that. You both know you were assholes. And so now you're running into each other. And so you're just going to pretend like, you know, we're still not going to talk. I mean, that's dumb.
I know. It is dumb. I know.
I would have just like rolled my eyes and smiled and been like, sup, you know?
I'd be like, boo.
Yeah.
God.
So what are you going to be for Halloween?
A ghost.
A ghost.
Hey, we're going to be ghosts for Halloween? Yeah, I know. I would have cracked some kind of funny joke.
Of course I would have.
I never would have been able to do it.
Just to break the silence, you know?
I'd be like, hey, look, awkward silence again.
I'd be like, well, so this is comfortable for me. How about you?
Oh, I'm having a great. I'm hobbling around. I'm at my best.
Yeah, look at me.
I'm in pajama pants in public. In front of the guy that I ghosted. Yeah, exactly. Anyway, all right. Well, don't ghost people. Take a class, read a book, figure it out. Give somebody.
Be a man, be a woman. You know,
give people the opportunity to process, because you just leaving it up in the air like that is just not cool. And I know it's normal, but I don't give a shit. I don't raise my family to treat people with that little respect.
Have some manners, for crying out loud. I don't know how your parents raised you, but I mean, you know, just man up or woman up and just grab it by the balls and say, I'm sorry, but I don't want to see you anymore.
Well,
you're a nice person. And if you're too scared to do it in person, then text if you have to.
Or
just say,
I'm
sorry, but I don't want to see you anymore. It's not you, it's me. And then that's all you have to say.
Yeah. I guess.
I mean, if, you know, that line works or not, everybody knows it doesn't, but
it doesn't work, but whatever. You know what? It's just a bad thing that's come out of all of the digital connections.
The social, you know, world.
On that same line, and we really need to do our ugly and awkward moments of the week. A friend that I had been friends with for a really long time. I mean, I've socialized with her and stuff like that. She has gone off the deep end. She has fully been consumed by the deep, dark interwebs. She believes that vaccines are bad.
Oh, God.
She believes that there are chemtrails. She believes that people are actively worshiping the devil and trying to steer people away from the light. Hardcore, deep shit. Like, full-on conspiracy theorist. And I don't know when that happened. Like, I don't remember seeing the transition. She has just really gone deep into a world that I can't understand. And it's crazy to see it. It's so crazy to watch it. And I'm like, there's nothing you can say to her. She then just says, well, I choose the light. I choose the light. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, that's kind of upsetting.
It's very upsetting. But what's concerning me is what happened? Like, what triggered her to go there? Versus just kind of living, you know, with an open mind is one thing, but this is not an open-minded person
this is
anymore.
like very extreme.
It's an extreme level.
Maybe she's suffering from some sort of illness.
Mental?
I'm kind of wondering, or if maybe she had some sort of catastrophic event in her life that
usually does. I mean, I don't know much about people that are like that. She considers herself a truther, whatever that is. I don't know what that is. I don't know what a truther is. But anyway, it's alarming, and I feel like I want to reach out to her, but I don't think it's going to matter. And based on her page, on her social media pages, she has a lot of people who have tried to reach her. Like, this is not someone who they're neglecting, but it's clear she's on a path and no one can stop it.
It's mostly up to her family to to try and reach her. And there's friends can only do so much, but family is really the ones that have to take care of their own. So,
right. I don't know, man. It's alarming. Okay, so let's do our ugly and awkward moments of the week.
When I pick Olivia up from school, I try and park like right in front of where she gets out of school. But in order to do that, I have to get to the school like 40 minutes before she gets out. I was there and I was parked like by the playground, kind of in front of the school. Mm-hmm. And so the little kids were outside playing ball and all that kind of stuff. And so I was sitting in my car because, like I said, I have to get there like 40 minutes before. Yes. So I was in my car. I had the windows like down halfway and I was, listening to music, playing on my phone, just totally chilling, had my leg up. And then all of a sudden I hear this, excuse me, ma'am. And I startled me and I looked out my window and there was this lady standing there. I'm like, yeah. Cause you know how much we love to talk to people.
Yes.
She's like, one of the kids threw a ball over the fence and it landed under your car. She's like, it's right by your tire. I'm like, oh, okay. And so I got out of my car. I looked under my tire and there was a little bouncy ball thing under my tire. So I'm like, okay. So I grabbed it. I started to walk towards the fence and then I threw it really hard. It hit the fence.
Oh, God.
And then it bounced back and rolled into the street.
Oh, God.
And so I had to run after it.
Oh, my God.
And of course, I'm not the only one that gets there early because there's, many people that get there early so they can park right up front. So I'm sure everyone in their car is watching this, shenanigan. And she's like, oh my. Because she's standing out there watching me do all this. And so I grabbed the ball and I'm like, oh, and I just I went back and I literally walked to the fence and pushed it over to the side, over the fence. I'm not going to throw it again. So,
that is so funny.
Yeah, there was a little girl on the other side waiting for it. I'm like, here you go.
She's like, excuse me, miss. Anytime.
Yeah.
At your leisure.
Not going to throw a ball again in front of everyone.
Funny.
That was embarrassing.
Yeah. Everyone knows if you can't be an athlete, be an athletic supporter.
Exactly. And I told Olivia, I said, I had my ugly and awkward moment at your school today. And she just looked at me with a stone face. She's like, oh my God, what did you do?
Did everyone know you're my mother?
Yeah.
Okay, that's actually quite good. Mine was, my son is coming to stay for a few months. Mm-hmm. And so we're getting the bedroom that he's staying in ready. It needed to be painted and we needed to clean the carpets and all that stuff. So we rented a carpet cleaner. Now, normally, the last 2 times we have paid a service to come and clean our carpets. But the second time they came, they were terrible. And me, I have to control everything. And so I said, go get a carpet cleaner and I'm going to do it myself because I know I can do it better. So Darryl goes and rents a carpet cleaner, gets the Bissell, and we get it all set up. And he goes, you got it? And I'm like, I'm good. I know what I'm doing. I've cleaned 1 million carpets in my life. I know what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. I even said, I can do this for a living. Okay. So I get it all taken apart. I get the soap and everything in. And I'm doing it and I'm cleaning and I'm like, oh, look at it. It's so clean. Now, carpet cleaners are vacuums too, because that's how they suck up all the moisture and the soap and everything.
Right.
So I'm going and I'm like, this doesn't feel like it's working right. And so I'm like, So I keep going. I'm like, well, it's vacuuming for sure. And I'm like, and I'm looking at the tank. I'm like, well, the water's dirty, but I don't understand. Paula, 30 minutes. I took the thing apart. I'm looking and I'm like, I don't understand why it's not working. I don't know if you know how a carpet cleaner works. Apparently, I had forgotten.
You put the water in there, right?
I put the water and the soap in the empty bin. not in the actual machine.
So you didn't read the instructions when you got it.
And I had completely forgotten how you pour the water and the soap into the little grate until it fills up to a certain point, and then the big white bucket part is empty, and you empty it after with the dirty water. So I had completely done it wrong, and I sat up there for almost an hour wondering why the hell this thing wasn't working right. I was angry. I was this close to getting ready to tell Daryl to send this thing back. It's broken. And I said, well, I think I've successfully proven that I cannot do this for a living since I don't even know how to use it.
You should have just called Stanley Steamer.
Next time. Well, I don't know. I mean, it's actually really fun to do. I wouldn't do it for a living, though.
Fun?
But yeah, because watching all the dirt come up is it's really satisfying.
God, what's wrong with you?
I don't know.
You know, it's really fun coming home on a Friday afternoon after you've worked and seeing your house clean and the check gone that you wrote to your housekeeper or your house cleaner or whatever they call them.
I don't know,
That's fun for me.
You walk in and go,
everything's so clean.
I think that's a wrap, though.
Yeah, I do too. So thanks everybody for joining us. We appreciate your patronage. If you go to uglytruth.com and click on the Amazon button, again, a reminder, Easter is coming up. Go and get your Easter stuff, your Easter dresses last minute for your little girls or little boys or whatever it is that you do. While you're at it, go to lipandclip.com, get your makeup, and you'll be Easter ready for the bunny. Other than that, have a fabulous week, and we will see you on Wednesday.
Bye.
Thanks for listening and sharing the show. See you next time on The Ugly Truth.